Hi everyone, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope that everybody is having a great weekend so far. Students, in this class, we are looking at IELTS Speaking Part 2, the cue card that many students are nervous about. But don't worry, I'm going to teach you step-by-step strategies to understand the cue card and to give good answers. This cue card topic will be about a place to learn. Now, this is a members chat class. Everybody is welcome to watch. It's a good idea to watch because next we will have speaking part 3 where everybody will be able to join the chat. Welcome, Amrit. Hi, Arda. Students, as usual, this lesson is brought to you by aehelp.com. That's academicenglishhelp.com, where you will find lots of resources to help improve your English communication, your critical thinking. For general IELTS, visit us at gieltshelp.com. Both of those websites, again, have lots and lots of resources for you to improve. This is our academic IELTS website here at aehelp.com. You can click this big red button to join our premium IELTS package that's just above my head there. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. We are an official British Council IELTS Test Registration Center and certified agents. We are also IDP partners as well now. So you are in great hands with us. And you can use this code that I gave you yesterday in yesterday's class as well. It's IELTS 9, IELTS 9 for a 25% discount from the already very competitive price of the premium package. So go ahead and use that. Get going on learning from the right materials to really improve your band scores. Okay. Yes, Amrit says, today I did my exam, but the reading was so hard compared to the Cambridge readings. Yes, Amrit, I've mentioned this in previous classes. For general IELTS, go to gieltshelp.com. It's the same idea. It's right here. Again, click this big red button to join our premium package. All right, everyone. Yeah, many people are doing their IELTS exams. A lot of our members are doing their IELTS exams this week. Amrit has been kind and shared his exam experience with us during this week as well. And Amrit is saying that the reading was quite hard. Amrit, we often get emails and questions. I think you probably saw these in some of our live classes where students ask us, like, are the readings as hard as your reading passages and the listening as hard as you're listening? And I always say yes, it's at least that hard. Unfortunately, a lot of materials available online and a lot of the free materials out there are easier than the real IELTS exam. So you have to be kind of careful with those materials. They're okay for learning, some vocabulary and getting an idea of what's happening, but it can be a big surprise when you get to the real test and then you realize like, whoa, this is a lot harder than what I had expected. So, for example, Amrit, now you probably realize that reading about continental drift theory in our practice exams is not that different from a topic in the IELTS exam, right? So yeah, that's the way it is. Amrit, can you tell us what the topics of the reading were? Do you remember what those were? And while you do that, I will show students where they can send me an email. So if you have questions about the IELTS, like, how difficult are the reading passages or what is the level of the reading passage, you can send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com. Okay, so make sure to reach out to me there with your questions. You can get our exam books from Amazon, AE Helps Academic IELTS, and GE Helps General IELTS. Again, we've got lots of speaking today. So right now we will be looking at speaking part 2, cue card for the members. And then we will be looking at speaking part 3, which will be for everybody that will follow from the cue card. And then our next live class will actually be tomorrow, but it will be on Light Hall. So for everybody out there, check us out on Light Hall tomorrow. Register for this free class. It's a free speaking class. Light Hall is a really cool platform for live teaching. It's a new platform that's specifically made for live teaching with students. So definitely check us out there. Here you go. This is the link for that Light Hall class in the chat. So check that out. You can also check out our latest video with a candidate from India on our YouTube channel as well. So I'll put that in there also. All right. Okay. So let's take a look at this IELTS speaking part 2 cue card. I'm just going to shift this down a little bit. Now, IELTS speaking part 2, the cue card, this is where the speaking gets a little bit tricky for some candidates. A lot of candidates are quite well prepared for speaking part 1. Those are questions on a general topic like hobbies, work, study, sports. But then when they get to speaking part 2, they kind of start to fall apart. And one reason for that is because from speaking part 2, the conversation isn't really common. It's not a type of conversation that we have in our day-to-day life. So speaking part 2 is very important to practice even for students who have higher level English. Okay, so you look at the cue card, and your very first step is to read the cue card carefully. Okay, this is still where I see a lot of candidates making mistakes. So step 1, read the card carefully so that you stay on topic. You must answer all the questions on the card in the first 90 seconds of your response time. Okay. So some candidates, especially some candidates who are repeating themselves or who go off topic, don't do this, and then their speaking mark, their band score tends to slide. It's basically impossible to get a band 8 or band 9 if you do not answer all the questions on the cue card. So let's take a look at speaking part 2. Let's take a look at the questions carefully. Okay, so talk about a place that is good for learning. What is this place? What can people learn there? When is the best time to go there? How can this place be even better? You will have 1 to 2 minutes to talk about this topic, and you will have 1 minute to prepare what you're going to say. Now, here are some steps for volunteering to speak, and we will get our members, hopefully, speaking today. You will have lots and lots of opportunities to speak. Now, I can see Zarina says, don't scare me, Amrit. It's not, I don't think Amrit's goal here is to scare anybody. I think Amrit is trying to express this so that people aren't surprised or they're not shocked. Because some candidates are. They're quite literally shocked when they get to the reading section and then they go, whoa, really? And also I think it's important to say that Amrit is talking about the academic reading. So Zarina, if you're doing the general IELTS reading, section 1 and section 2 are a fair bit easier than section 3 of the general IELTS or the different parts of the academic IELTS. Academic IELTS are academic topics, okay? And just one more quick word on that. There is a reason for that. It's not because IELTS wants to be mean and fail people. It's because IELTS knows that candidates who are going to do university in English must have that level of reading to be able to do their university classes. So that's where that comes from. Those reading passages are basically high school level reading passages. All right, so again, here we have our cue card. Talk about a place that is good for learning. Okay, first of all, let's identify the category here and the tense that we are going to be using. So when I talk about category in speaking part 2, there are 5 possible categories. For discussion. These are person, place, object, event, and idea. Okay, each of these has a set way to clearly explain. Okay, so here you probably James, it has nothing to do with luck. It has nothing to do with luck. It's people have to stop thinking about IELTS as a test of luck. It's a 3-hour exam for sitting. The speaking is 12 minutes, but lots of information gets exchanged. When you have as much information being explored and analyzed as the IELTS, luck has very, very, very little to do with it. And I really wish that people stop thinking about it that way. The retest reliability of IELTS is very, very high. It's 97.5, 98, 9%. So it has nothing to do with IDP, Amrit. The British Council and IDP tests are the same because IELTS exams are made by the ESOL examination board. So IELTS exams are created at the ESOL Cambridge examination board by experts for both IDP and British Council. Okay, they are made by the same people. The exam has nothing to do with luck. I shouldn't say nothing, I should say has very little, but I don't want to say that because, yeah, maybe, James, you're studying geography and you happen to get a reading, that passage that's about geography. That would be lucky, but that's rare. That's kind of like winning the lotto. You don't do an exam based on winning the lotto. So the exam has virtually nothing to do with luck. Okay. All right, so back to this cue card. Talk about a place that is good for learning. Clearly, this cue card is about a place. Now, when you want to talk about a place to another person, okay, what should you include? What should you talk about? How should you start? Okay. So, what should you do? If I'm telling you about the beautiful city of Victoria where I live here in Western Canada, how should I start telling you about this place? Or if I'm telling you about the Greater Victoria Public Library, which is a great place for learning, How should I start telling you about this place? I should tell you about location. Yeah, very good, Arda. Yeah, where is it? Just give a person an idea of the location. Okay. All right. Then what should I do? So after you know where this place is located, which is right, and Arda, you probably got that from me also saying like Victoria's in Western Canada. It's situated on the southern tip of Vancouver Island. The Greater Victoria Public Library is downtown on Broughton Street, between Broughton and Courtney. Yep, absolutely. So you have the location. And then, yeah, Zarina, very good. A description. What does it look like, right? So the public library in Victoria is a 4-story building. It's quite large. It has a courtyard, many windows, so that it's bright for easy reading and studying. Okay. It has several different sections, fiction, nonfiction, children's section, historical. Okay, so yeah, I describe a bit about it so that the person can position themselves and see what this place looks like. Absolutely. Okay, Arda says, what people do in that place. I just clearly call that activities. But before we even get there, Arda, I want to talk about the attendees. So who goes there, right? So people of all ages go to the public library, especially elderly people who aren't as used to technology, like to read the paperback books, and also a lot of children who haven't yet learned to use the internet tend to go to the public library. But it is also a good space for young adults who are university students for some quiet study away from the distractions of siblings and roommates, right? So that would be the public library for a good place for learning. Now I'm using the public library as an example right now, but we're going to do a different example here together soon, okay? So attendees, people that go there, and then activities that happen there, right? Okay, now when you're thinking about this, right, especially the activities, keep in mind the focus of the cue card, or we can also say the controlling idea. So at the public library, people have an opportunity to research. Many university students indeed write their research papers and even master's thesis at the library. There are a lot of resources available, including books which cannot be found online. There's also a children's learning center where children can attend story time to learn about interesting local information, such as the environment in their area. Here in Victoria, that would be learning about the ocean and the rainforest. Okay, so it's a great place for learning. It's a great place for learning. Okay, so those are the activities. So this is where I'm talking about the Greater Victoria Public Library as a good place for learning. Now, the last part that you might want to include is your opinion. Okay, so what is your opinion? Now here, also we want to figure out the verb tense of this cue card. So this is our second step. Okay, step 1 is to read the cue card carefully. Step 2, figure out the category and the verb tense. So here, the verb tense in this question, what is this place? What can people learn there? When is the best time to go there? What is the verb tense? What do you think? Based on these questions, based on the grammar, okay? What is this place? What's the grammar? It's present, right? What can people learn there? Present. It's not what will people learn there. It's not what did people learn there. It's what can people learn there. So it's present tense. Okay. When is the best time to go there? Again, present tense. How can this place be even better? It's modal, but it's still present tense. Okay, so these are all present tense, and so you're realizing that, okay, this is present tense, so you should be using the present tense. Now, there are some lessons out there that say past, present, future, talk about it all. Not necessarily the most effective for high bands for all cue cards. Be careful. Here, focusing on the present tense is more important, and within the present tense, focusing on such tense as present perfect, which means past, present, and future. Okay, so present tense is a good idea here. Okay, also present perfect. Okay, now when you're thinking about that past, present, future. Okay. Present perfect is really good. Okay. Because it represents past, present, and future. Okay. Present perfect is a very good tense, and native English speakers like to use it all the time. Present perfect is a very good tense to use because it refers to past, present, and future. Okay, so for instance, I could say a sentence like, people have been visiting the Greater Victoria Public Library for or since its establishment in 1960 to learn about millions of different topics. Okay, so that would be an example of present perfect. Now, students, this is speaking, so you should be speaking and repeating. Okay, so copy after me. People have been visiting the Greater Victoria Public Library since its establishment in 1960 to learn about millions of different topics. Okay. University students have been there getting ready for their master's and PhD dissertations with all of the available reference books. Okay, all right, so use the present perfect. Present perfect refers to the now, but it does also include the past and the future, so it's a great way to do that. Okay, force yourself to use present perfect. Okay, force yourself to use present perfect. All right, so once you've gone through this step 2, then comes step 3. This is a little side note here, so we're going to put some square brackets around it. Okay, so step 3, very important step. What is step 3? What should you do in step 3? Very important step. It's a step that often students skip, and you should not skip this step. Do not forget this step. Do not skip this step. It is, in my opinion, in Adrian's opinion, talking about myself as third person, it is, in Adrian's opinion, the most important step in the IELTS speaking interview. Not just part 2. Don't forget it. James says, think about beginning sentence. No. Before you get there, James. Arda says, think about the first sentence for a strong start. Not yet. Whoa, you guys have jumped 2 steps. James, Arda, Amrit, you've jumped over 2 steps. Definitely step 3 you've jumped over before you get there. Okay, maybe it's because I was giving you the example of the public library as a place for learning. You kind of forgot about this step, but we haven't covered this step, and it's very important. Amrit says, look at the cue card carefully. No. Well, let me ask you this. Maybe it will help. What are you going to talk about? So what will be this place of learning that you're going to talk about? Harwinder, same thing. Zarina. Okay, we've got lots of members in here. Step 3 is think of, and I don't know why, but students just forget this, which is so strange for me. Yeah, Arda, exactly. Think of 2 to 3 good ideas. Okay. So think of 2 or 3 good possible answers for the cue card, and then pick the best one. Best one meaning easy to talk about, lots of content, and original. Okay, so here again the topic is best, or not best, but good place for learning. What is a good place for learning? Okay, so we already said library, and I already gave you examples of that, so let's forget that one. Let's think of a few more. Okay. All right. So what is a good place for learning? Where do you like to go? Okay, so Arda says school would be a common one. Okay, school is a big place for learning, so it's too general. I would probably choose a little bit, something a bit more specific, like study center at school. Okay. So study center at school would be good. All right. Okay, Harwinder says park. Again, be more specific. So Central Park. Okay. What else? A good place for learning. I think there's a really easy one here as well. Okay, and again, Amrit, if you say university, then you want to be more specific, like computer lab at university. Okay, so you want to be more specific. Bedroom at home. How about that one? Okay. All right, so now we are going to be a little bit better at answering this question. Okay. All right. Let's go with computer lab at university, just for fun, right? Okay. So computer lab at university. And you have these actually in schools or high schools as well. So it could be, or high school if you're not, doesn't matter, you could switch that out. All right. Okay, so now step 4, and many of you jumped this one as well, are useful notes. Okay. Zarina's asking, how long? It's a very good question, okay? And I'm going to answer this question before we look at the notes. So this is Zarina's question here. Before I answer it, let's see if some of our members have an idea of what the answer that could be for this, okay? So this is Zarina's question here in the chat, so everybody can see it. It's a very important question, that's why I put it into the notes for the class. It's a very good question. How long do we need to allot? So how long do we need to gather ideas? Okay. Allow is the better word here. So Arda says 10 to 15 seconds. Amrit says 20 seconds. Amrit says 10 seconds is enough. There's kind of a tricky answer for this. Okay, those are some good answers. 5 seconds to the entire 1 minute preparation time. Okay. Simply put, Zarina, as much as you need. Okay, you cannot give a high band answer with a low quality idea. Okay. So this one, I've told students this in the past, that if you can't come up with a good idea, don't start writing notes, okay? It's better to spend the whole 1 minute coming up with your idea and not even have notes than to have notes on a bad idea and to talk off topic, okay? So this is why, Zarina, I said that step 3 is the most important step in this entire speaking interview, okay? Because the idea that you come up with for speaking part 2 has a major impact on your overall speaking section score. It will have a very big impact on your ability to speak for part 2 and for part 3, okay? So your response for speaking part 2 will have a major impact on both your part 2 and part 3 answers. And you'll see that when we do part 3 next class. You're going to see that. You're going to be like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. I get why that's so important, okay? And on part 3, because part 3 is connected to part 2. Okay, so the better your idea for part 2, the better your idea for part 3, and also the ideas that you come up with for part 2 are going to be very useful in part 3 as well. Welcome to our group of members, Don John. Make sure to send an email to me so I can hook you up with those videos and practice exams, okay? All right, so now we gather some useful notes, okay? So hopefully that makes sense for everybody. Okay, welcome, Ghazi. So you need to spend as much time as necessary to come up with good ideas. Okay, now we gather some useful notes. So a good place for learning is the computer lab at my university, okay? And it could be your high school, it could even be your workplace. A lot of different institutions have computer labs these days. That's a good answer. I feel like I can talk a lot about it. I feel like it's original, and I feel like that's going to get me a good band score for this cue card, okay? All right, so basically, first of all, location. Okay, now you don't need to write location in your notes. If you're going to write anything, maybe just write an L like that, so you know that location, okay? All right, so located. First floor, main building. Okay. And then description. That's good for now. University of Victoria. We'll add that. Okay. In the center of the university. All right. And then we have appearance. Okay, and when you're writing useful notes, you should write information that isn't going to be in your head anyway. It's information that can help you to expand and give more details. Again, for appearance, you might just want to write AP. Okay, so what does the computer lab look like? Okay, now don't say large room, because you're going to probably remember large room anyway. So you might want to say something like 20 meter by 20 meter, which is a square shaped room. Okay, 4 rows PC, 3 rows Apple. Maybe there's a help desk. Okay, notice we're going to answer the question with that as well. Okay, bright, lots of lights. Okay, so new equipment. All right, so that's the appearance, right? Ghazi says it's about 8 by 8 meters. Yeah, sure. Amrit says 25 by 30. All right. Okay. Don John, I'm not sure what your question is there. You're saying, I wonder academic versus training, which is easier. Do you mean general? Academic IELTS exam is definitely a bit more challenging than the general, but it's for different reasons, right? So for university, you have to take the academic. For immigration, you take the general. It really depends on what you are doing. Yeah, Don John, general training, computer-based. If you're good at touch typing, then it's the right choice if you're going to do an exam real quick. Absolutely. Okay. All right. So back to the point here, useful notes. Notice how I don't get lost even if I'm answering questions for our members. I don't get lost because I know exactly what to do. So after appearance, it's attendees. It means who goes there. Okay. So I'm not going to say university students because obviously university students go there. Okay. So I'm going to give a little bit more details, numbers, right? Hundreds of students. Okay. Professors. Techs. And volunteers, right? Computer labs, you often find volunteers who are helping people to use the computer, okay? So those are the attendees. That's what's going to help me talk about this cue card, okay? And then activities. Now, I'm not going to say people write on the computer or send emails, okay? Because that's obvious, okay? So activities, project. So projects, you do a lot of projects there, right? Research. Okay, obviously use the computer room for a lot of research as well. Okay, Arda says people who study computer science. Yeah, okay, Arda, I guess so, sure. But I mean, I think most people use the computer lab these days. Sure. Okay. Masters, PhD students. Okay. Use the computer lab. All right. Okay. So now we get our first sentence ready. Step 5. Yes. First sentence. Ready for speaking before your 1 minute time is up. Now, Zarina, to answer that question a little bit more, Zarina asked that good question of, how much time should I spend coming up with a good idea? And I said as much time as you need. If you think of ideas very quickly, then 5-10 seconds. If it's taking you longer, it's a tougher question, then 20-30 seconds. If you are completely stuck for ideas, you might need a whole minute. Okay, step 3 and step 5 are the most important. You can kind of figure out the other steps while you're speaking if you have to. Okay, Zarina? So what I mean is that if I can come up with the idea of computer science lab at my university or computer lab at my university, then I can come up with my first sentence. So a very good place for learning is the computer lab at my university, the University of Victoria, or it could be your high school or other place as well. Okay, so now that I've come up with this first sentence, as long as I studied before my IELTS exam and I know that I have to talk about its location and then its appearance and then its attendees and activities, then I can easily continue from here. Okay, so this computer lab is located in the main building of the university on the first floor, just to the left of the front entrance. Okay. So just nice and smooth. Okay. So here, the examiner, of course, once my 1 minute preparation time is up, the examiner will say, okay, your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking. And then I can begin. A very good place for learning is the computer lab at my university, the University of Victoria. This computer lab is located in the main building of the university on the first floor, just to the left of the front entrance. The main building is found at the very center of the University of Victoria. Okay. Arda says, an important place for getting education is the computer lab at my high school named Kartal Anatolian High School. Okay, good, Arda. Sure. All right. Okay, and I'm going through the steps here. All right. This is a large computer lab, square-shaped, about 20 meters by 20 meters, and houses 3 rows of PCs and 2 rows of Apple computers. Okay. If you don't know this for sure, like if you're like, is it 2 rows or 3 rows? It doesn't matter. It's IELTS, right? So just give a description. All right. Just give a description. Arda says the lab is located on the 2nd floor next to the teacher's room. It is a large lab which can fit 30 desktop PCs, bright, and it's surrounded by windows. Yeah, that's the next description, right? Although the lab does not have windows, it does have a lot of lighting, so it's bright. Of course, there is very high speed internet for each computer, which makes it extremely efficient for learning materials online. Okay. In addition, there is a help desk at the front of the room, where a volunteer is always sitting who can help with researching information as well as technical computer skills. Okay. All right, now remember that you've got 1 to 2 minutes, right? So if you start to get a lot of really good ideas, you're like, well, okay, I can talk about my computer lab as a great place for learning for like 10 minutes. Don't, because you can't speak for 10 minutes. And hey, if you don't say all of the information in your head or on your notes, don't panic, because part 3 will be connected to part 2. So you will have a chance to talk more about your computer lab as a great place for learning as you get to part 3 as well. What's most important is that you cover the questions in the cue card or on the cue card, okay? So go through each of these steps nice and fast, okay? Amrit, I don't think writing will come first. That's why I was asking you about that yesterday. So that's a different question. We'll talk more about that, but I think there was some false information going around. I will research that. Maybe they're experimenting with it, but I don't think it's a new standard. Okay. All right, let's talk a little bit about attendees. So hundreds of students visit the computer lab each day to do their studies, projects, and research for bachelor's, master's, and PhD programs. It is a quiet space, so it is easy to focus on learning. Okay, so I keep thinking about that cue card topic, good place for learning. Okay, all right, so now I definitely want to look at the cue card. Look at the cue card, everyone. Always look at the cue card. Make sure you're answering all the questions, okay? All right. So, the cue card, here it is. Talk about a place that is good for learning. What is this place? Okay, it's the computer lab at the university. What can people learn there? All right, we've kind of answered this question, but not specifically, okay? When is the best time to go there? We definitely have not answered that question. And how can this place be better? So I really want to answer these last 2 questions before 90 seconds, before the examiner stops me, okay? So I think the best time to visit the computer lab is early morning when it opens at 7 a.m. or just before it closes at 10 p.m. because there are a few students at these times and it is easy to get help from the volunteers. Also, I find that the internet speed is the fastest during these times. To make the lab even better, I think the school should install more software on the computers, such as video editing software like Black Magic Resolve. Okay. All right. This is because some projects are difficult to do without such programs. All right. Amrit says Adobe Photoshop. Yeah. And now people are realizing, yeah, sometimes in the computer lab, I just don't have the software that I need to get my work done. Okay. Don John, this session is for both general and academic. The listening section, Don John, of the academic and the general IELTS exam are the same. Lamia, you do not need to answer the questions on the cue card in perfect order. Okay. Arda says, in my opinion, the best time to visit the lab is during lunch break, as it is quiet and it's good to get quality learning done. Yeah, in high school, a lot of students visit the computer lab during lunchtime. Okay, and at this point, they will probably stop you because you've answered all of the questions. So let's do this together, students, and speak with me, read with me, okay, to get some practice. And then members, we will do some speaking practice together, okay? So I will ask for volunteers. Here we go. So again, the cue card. Now I'm confident that I've answered it, okay? So IELTS speaking part 2, talk about a place that is good for learning. What is this place? What can people learn there? When is the best time to go there? How can this place be even better? Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking. A very good place for learning is the computer lab at my university, the University of Victoria. This computer lab is located in the main building of the university on the first floor, just to the left of the front entrance. The main building is found at the very center of the University of Victoria. This is a large computer lab, square-shaped, about 20 meters by 20 meters, and houses 3 rows of PCs and 2 rows of Apple computers. Although the lab does not have windows, it does have a lot of lighting, so it's bright, makes it convenient for reading and learning. Of course, there is very high-speed internet for each computer, which makes it extremely efficient for learning online materials. In addition, there's a help desk at the front of the room where a volunteer is always sitting who can help with researching information as well as technical computer skills. Hundreds of students visit the computer lab each day to do their studies, their projects, their research for bachelor's, master's, and PhD programs. It's a quiet space, so it's easy to focus. I think the best time to visit the computer lab is early morning when it opens at 7 a.m. or before it closes at 10 p.m. because there are not a lot of students during these times, so it's easy to get help from volunteers. I find the internet speeds also faster during these times. To make the lab even better, the school should install more software on the computers, like video editing software, Blackmagic Resolve, or Photoshop for graphics. This is because some projects are difficult to do without these programs. Okay, your time is up. Please put the note paper and the pen to the side. And now we will continue with part 3. For this part, I will ask you some more questions related to the topic of part 2. So this was a band 9 level response for this cue card. Okay, watch this video several times, practice this part several times to get that fluency and to become confident. Let's practice this together. So students, get ready to do a bit of part 2 here with me. I'm going to put on my ears and I'll get some of our members, hopefully. This is a members chat class, so members get first opportunity. But that doesn't mean others cannot get an opportunity if we don't have members volunteering. So to volunteer for speaking, trying this Part 2 cue card, go to aehelp.com, our website. That's where we have a speaking interface. YouTube does not have a speaking interface, but the IELTS speaking class that we will do tomorrow on Light Hall does have a speaking interface. Again, this is a free class on Light Hall, and I'll stick that into the chat. Okay, that one will have a speaking interface for you. Lamia, the lesson's not done yet. Now's your chance, Lamia, to practice this Part 2. Okay, all right. So let's do it. So let's go to the website. We'll go to aehelp.com. Looks like this. Okay. Again, you can join the premium course by clicking on that red button. Okay. Or you can just register a free account with the green button that's behind me. All right. And then you go to your My Student account. Again, students, this site is aehelp.com. Okay, so it's aehelp.com. All right. And then go to your My Student account. In your My Student account, click on Student Partner Speaking. If you want to book a full speaking interview with me, and you might want to do that, Don John, you can do that with this button here, the yellow button that's right behind my head. It's the speaking interview practice. And then let's click on that Student Partner Speaking, and hopefully we'll have some volunteers in here. Okay, good. So we have Jay, Kalwinder, Nahita, Ghazi, and Abhishri. So once you're in here, you can see these people who have already accessed this page, and you can text, video, or phone chat. Okay, and then you can send me a message. Ghazi just sent me a message to volunteer to practice this Part 2. Okay. And then I can contact you, as I will do with Ghazi. Yes, you can, Ghazi. Are you ready? Okay, and then you can communicate with me, and we can practice Part 2. I can give you a band score estimate and tell you how to improve your speaking response, specifically for Part 2 today. Okay, here we go.
Hello, Adria.
Good morning, Ghazi.
Good morning.
How are
Very early for you.
It's pretty early. It's almost 6:30 in the morning. But you know what they
that's
say.
The reason.
You know
That's
what they
the reason why I came late to the lesson. So,
Yeah,
sorry about
you're at 9:30. Well, you know what they say though, Ghazi, right? The early bird catches the worm.
Okay, yeah, that's a good six. Yeah, yeah, but sometimes actually for myself, for my brains, doesn't work early morning actually.
For a lot of people, it doesn't work. It takes practice. It takes practice, Ghazi. But
Yes,
on weekends, I sleep in, so it's all good.
yeah.
Okay.
I need a lot of coffee, yeah, for that.
Yeah, especially when you have children, right? All right, Ghazi. So let's take a look at this Part 2. Now you can stay with the same topic if you'd like. So you can talk about a computer lab as a good place for learning, or if you'd like, you can talk about a different place as well. All right, it's up to you.
Yeah,
So-
I would choose another topic. That's
Sure.
okay.
Yeah, it's fine by me. The structure is the same. Tell me where it is. Tell me what it looks like. Tell me who goes there. Tell me what people do there, and you'll be on the right track. Okay. Now, don't forget these last two questions, which is when is the best time to go there, and how can this place be even better. So here's the cue card. I've put it on the screen for you, and I'll start you off, and then I'll take some notes while you're talking. Don't pay attention to what I'm writing, just pay attention to yourself, and then we'll talk about it after, okay?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Early morning practice, get our brains going. All right, here we go. So, all right. For part 2, I will show you a card with some questions. You will have 1 minute to prepare, and you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. Talk about a place that is good for learning. Your 1 minute preparation time begins now. Your 1 minute preparation time is up, Ghazi. Please begin speaking.
The best place for me to learn is the library of Bishop Falls, the town which I live in. So the library about 2 kilometers from my home is located on the main street beside the town office. The library building is new relatively. It was built in 2005. There's a big entrance. In the front of the entrance, there's the librarian office. On the left, there is washroom, and there is on the right, there is children's sections. There's 3 tablets with children, with the chairs for the children to learn and to do their activities. Usually, there is also adults. They come to this library and children. The adult, there is different programs like painting and drawing. For children, usually they come to for reading programs and for drawing as well. For myself, also I go there for reading because I came to Canada recently. I need such as place to improve my language. Also recently I involved in the painting program with the adult group. I usually go there Monday and Wednesday. Monday afternoon, Wednesday I go with my kids between 6 to 9. At that time I
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Your time is up. And now we will continue with part 3. For this part, I will ask you some questions related to the topic of part 2. Please put the note paper and the pen to the side. Okay, Ghazi, that was pretty good. That was solid. You were going, gone. So you had a lot to say about the library at Bishop's Falls, which is good.
The time doesn't. I just missed one question. So how we can make this
place better? Yeah. So that's my first tip to you: is make sure that you answer all the questions on the card a little bit faster, and then go into the details. So you went into quite a bit of detail about the different activities, like drawing and painting programs for children, reading and painting programs for adults, what you do there because you went to Canada. So that I would recommend keeping it to about half, so half as much information. Make sure to answer all the questions on the cue card, and then you can add that information. Like you can say, I go to this library 2-3 times each week because I arrived to Canada in the last couple of years, so I learn English and language there. It's very useful for this, and you can expand on that if the examiner does not stop you. Your band score was quite good there, so I think you would still get an easy band 6 to 6.5, maybe even a 7, because it was just a very clear, well-structured, fluent response. Okay, so had you answered those last 2 questions within the time limit, I think it could even be as high as a band 7 there, and you're getting better and better with that. Okay, your grammar is becoming more accurate, Ghazi, so good for you.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you. Yeah, I want to answer the last question. So that's my mistake. Like to improve this place, they have to make it bigger because the space doesn't fit the attendants. So it's a small relatively. So they need to extend extra rooms for the library,
Good.
and they have to reduce the entertainment activities to that which help to uh, create a quiet environment for the library.
Right. Okay. Or to build a quiet space that's further from
Yeah.
the activities, right? Good. Now, if you miss that part and you realize that, right, you're like, oh, I missed that part and I know the examiner wanted to hear my answer there. There's kind of a sneaky trick that you could do in the
Yeah.
IELTS exam. When you get to part 3,
Yeah.
oftentimes they ask questions that are similar to your part 2 cue card, so you can kind of sneak it in. You might be able to, so in part 3, for example,
Yeah.
there might be a question like, how can learning or educational institutions be improved in the future, or something like that. There could be a part 3 question like that. And then you could say, well, as I wanted to mention in part 2, but I ran out of time, the library in Bishop Falls could be made larger, so there are more opportunities for a larger group of people to go and
Yeah.
study. So you can kind of sneak your answer into part 3 if you're
Yeah.
paying
Yeah.
attention and you're
In
clever.
an direct way. Yeah. I
Yeah,
can.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's a good way to do
Okay,
this.
and the examiner will pick that up. The examiner will be like, oh, okay, here's somebody who's really paying attention to the conversation. They realize they missed the question on the cue card,
Yeah.
but they're sneaking it in. And they'll like that. So they like that kind of clever communication.
Okay.
Okay?
That's nice. Yeah.
All right, Ghazi, keep up the good studies. I hope you have a great weekend on the East Coast.
Thank you, Adrian. You too. Take care.
Okay.
See you later.
Bye, Ghazi. All right, so that was Ghazi. Maybe if he comes back for part 3, I'll get him on for a question where I think he can sneak in that last answer again. All right, so I see lots of students in our chat. Again, this is at aehelp.com, everyone. I see we have Anahita J. Amrit. We are at aehelp.com. Okay, and you click on the student partner speaking to access this part. Amrit is volunteering, I believe. So let's see what Amrit is up to. Hi, Amrit. I'm not sure if this, we have several Amrit, so I'm not always sure if it's our member Amrit or if it's a different Amrit, but Amrit is here. So hi, Amrit. Would you like to volunteer for a part 2 response? And don't be shy, students. A great way to improve is just to volunteer, put yourself out there, do your best, and then I will give you a band score estimate and we can talk about it. Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Amrit.
Hi, sir. How are you?
I am doing good. It is our member, Amrit. I recognize your voice. I'm not sure sometimes
Yes,
because
sir.
we have a few Amrits.
Yes, sir.
All right. Amrit, so you're done
Yes,
the
sir.
IELTS exam.
Yeah, sir. I have two accounts on ehelp.com.
Mm-hmm.
So I use sometime 2 accounts in a time because sometimes I face like you already logged in problem.
Okay.
So that's why I just come to the other account.
Okay. All right. Thanks for letting me know. Amrit, have you checked your speaking mark online?
No, sir.
Because you might have it. It might already be available online. So don't run away. Don't check it now. Check it maybe later. But you might already have your speaking mark. It usually takes about 2 days for your speaking mark to show up. They're pretty quick with that because they're marking you while you speak. Okay. So.
Okay, sir. This is not come up with the another sections.
Sometimes not. I think you can actually sometimes get your speaking mark earlier if you had it a couple days before because they enter it into the computer. So you might be able to see it. Maybe not, but maybe.
Okay, sir.
Amrit, so yesterday you did the sitting part of the exam, or did you do that today?
Sir, today I have only problem with the reading because I practice a lot of reading test at home, like Cambridge and even your test I practice, but the reading pattern is really tough.
Okay. What were the topics? Do you remember what each passage was? You just a quick question before that. You did the academic IELTS, right?
Actually, sir, I cannot remember the well, but I think the passage one is related to the trees and passage two is related to birds.
Passage 1 was trees, passage 2 was birds, but probably more specific information, right? Like tree biology, for example, right?
Yes, sir, like medicine, which are made by the lot of trees.
Yeah, so medicine made from trees, right? Exactly. So they're not going to be general topics. They're going to be specific topics like medications that are made from trees, like the Melaleuca medicine, which is very good. Okay, fair enough. So yeah, you have to really, practice those strategies and visualize, Amrit. When you tell me that you don't remember the topics, it makes me worried that you didn't visualize as much as you should have while you were reading.
Yes, sir, I imagine myself in the passage, like I visualize more to understand the passage.
Good. Were you a
But
scientist?
yes, sir, and like one more tip is like the skim and scan is never work if you go with the band 7 or 8 because the understanding is matter.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why I keep saying that, right? I mean, I always tell students that if you're trying to do the reading section with just skimming and scanning, it's not going to work. You have to understand the text. It's a must. There's way too much paraphrasing, and the information is way too complex for skimming and scanning to work. So I'm glad that you're telling everybody that, because I always tell people that, and sometimes people still think that the way they're going to do the reading is by skimming and scanning, and it's very tiring to do it, to try to do that as well. So okay, Amrit,
Yes,
let's go to speaking part 2. Let's get your brain off of, or your mind off of, the reading for now. So just relax your head. What's done is done. As they say, it's water under the bridge. Okay, so Amrit, let's do this instead. Let's talk about a place that is good for learning. Again, just like with Ghazi, you can talk about the same one that we practiced, computer lab, or you can come up with your own idea. Up to you, okay?
okay, sir. I'm just come with the your idea, like, but actually I'm not prepare notes, but I do my
Sure.
best.
Yeah, just that's all you want to do. Just do your best. I'll start you off. So for speaking part 2, I will ask you some questions, or sorry, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to prepare your answers, and you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. I will tell you when to start, when to stop. Talk about a place that is good for learning. Your 1 minute preparation time begins now. Okay, your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
A very good place for learning is the computer lab at my university, the Guru Nanak Dev University, which is located in Amritsar city. And this university is 2 kilometers away from my home. And this computer lab is very popular in Amritsar is for learning, and there are lots of facilities available, like 4 to 5 computers are available, and even professors are also available for help to local people. The computer lab is square shaped and about 20 meters by 20 meters, and houses and 3 rows of PCs, and there are lots of windows there are lots of windows where students can enjoy the beauty of environment, and there are lots of people are come to the go to this place, like elderly children and youngsters for their for their studies. And this computer lab is really helpful for who are making and study notes, and even there are lots of individuals are available for communicate with each other, there where people can also improve their communication skill. And hundreds and there are hundreds of students are visit this computer lab on their in this lab. And even I just I often go to this computer lab for studies. Whenever I face some problems, I just help get help from the professors within English. So this is a place I frequently go to, this computer lab.
Okay, your time is up. I'll stop you there. And now I will ask you some questions related to the topic of part 2. We'll continue with part 3. Please put the note paper or the pencil to the side. Let's talk about learning establishments. Okay, Amrit, not bad. You made one big mistake. And I think you're a bit tired from all the studying and the IELTS this week.
Sir.
So it's time to rest your brain a little bit, do something fun. What was the mistake? So you made a very clear mistake here.
I am not covering all of the questions.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why I was a little bit surprised. Like I was telling Ghazi that, you have to answer those last 2 questions clearly. And then you just gave a kind of a similar type of response where you said a lot of information, and it was fairly good information, but you didn't cover the questions on the cue card. Viewers, members, students, you have to cover all the questions on the cue card, okay? If that means directly answering the questions on the cue card, then directly answer them, especially that last 2. So the best time to go there is 8 a.m. in the morning because there are not a lot of people. There's always a computer available. This place can be even better with faster internet. Sometimes the internet is quite slow during the middle of the day, okay?
And install some editing softwares like Adobe Photoshop.
Sure.
There people can
so whatever, I mean, there could be more people helping, or the people who are helping could be better trained for Apple computers. So there are lots of different ways to improve a learning environment, right? But it's just really important that you say at least one sentence so the examiner can mark off task completion for part 2, because they're looking for task completion in part 2, just like for your writing section. They're looking for that task completion. Okay, it's part of the comprehension score. All right. So this way, Amrita, it would be about a band 5, 5, 6. Okay, probably more of a 6. But if you would have included those last 2 answers, it could have been a band 6.5 as well. Also, be really careful, Amrit. That's how I could tell that you're a little bit tired, is that some of the information was a bit awkward. Like you said that there are lots of windows so people can enjoy the beauty of the environment, and I just kind of saw these students sitting in the computer lab looking out the window and not at the computer screen. So it was kind of strange. And then and then you also said elderly and children can go there, and I'm like, really? At the university computer lab you find elderly and children? That's kind of strange. So it's mostly going to be university students who are there, and professors, probably not a lot of children in a university computer lab. So that was a little bit strange as well. But I think that's just fatigue in the mind. And by the way, Amrit, that's, it's a really good point. When you're doing the IELTS exam, you want to make sure you get some good sleep the days before, and you're well rested. You have a good amount of food and water in you, because our brain is a biological machine. It needs those to work well, right? So you have to let go of stress, and you have to get good sleep, okay?
Yes, sir. Sir, I did that.
Good. That's what I feel. I feel now, because you did your IELTS, you're probably a little bit more tired, and it's time to rest for the rest of the weekend. So tomorrow, take a day off, Amrit. Do something for yourself. You deserve it. You've been studying really hard, and then if you have to, then get back into your studies next week, okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for giving me feedback.
You are very welcome. Have a great rest of your day, Amrit.
Bye-bye, sir.
Bye. All right, that was good job by Amrit. Thumbs up. By the way, support each other. students. And thank you, Amrit, for sharing your IELTS exam experience with us this week. I think that's very valuable for a lot of the students out there. Okay. All right, Jay Abhyashri, I see that you're volunteering. I am going to come back in about 30 minutes for speaking part 3. So come back then, and I will look for the two of you, and you will be my first 2 volunteers, I promise, for speaking part 3. Okay, for now, we're going to end this session here. But again, worry not, because we have speaking part 3, which is a continuation of speaking part 2, coming up in just 35 minutes, to be more specific, roughly. Until then, check out aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Sign up for those websites. Do yourself a favor. Start learning early. Start learning from good materials. You can use the code IELTS9 for a 25% discount. Just click use coupon code or enter coupon code after you hit those big red buttons. Okay, and I will be back, and we will do lots of speaking next class, lots of Q&A with students. That will be an all chat class, so everybody will be able to join in on the fun, join in on the chat, join in on the live speaking. I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon. Take a break, stretch your legs, grab a glass of water, come back energized, and continue learning with me. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from beautiful Victoria for now, but I'll see you soon. Bye.